All right, good morning. Next up on the agenda is something again I have not tried to do before, and what it is, it's a scroll saw box, and not the little type with the lid on it that I made before, but actually a laminated box. And to that end, let me show you. Well, first, I guess what the software is, or the raw materials are going to be. I've got what I've got here. Obviously, I've got a pattern, and I made 6 copies of that pattern, and I ended up putting it on, well, 5 pieces of poplar. What I have here are actually 4 pieces of 3/4 inch thick poplar, and then I have 1 piece of poplar. Well, I resawed it down to just under 1/2 inch. I think it's maybe 3/8 of an inch, something like that. And I also put a copy of the pattern on that as well. And again, you're going to see what's going on with the madness here. In addition to that, I had to have a front and a back to the box, as well as some backs to the drawers I'm going to make, and that's what you see, these internal cutouts. But what I have here is some alder, and I got this at the Home Depot as well. It came in a 1/4 inch craft sheet, a 1/4 inch thick sheet meant for crafting. And so anyway, I've got 1 piece that's going to be the back of the box, so I don't need to do anything with that, so I can just put that aside. Then I've got 2 other pieces that are going to be the front of the box and the backs of the drawers. And well, anyway, that's what this is going to be for. So anyway, with that in mind, I got 2 1/4 inch pieces here, and as you can see here, I've got them stuck together with some double tape, and I got the pattern on the front. So first thing I need to do is I'm going to have to drill some holes so I can get the scroll saw blades in there. So I have the holes, though, yeah, the drill spots are marked out. But one quick little tip: what you want to do before you start actually drilling these holes is to take a nail, or even a nail punch will work. But you want to put it on the spot where you're going to drill out, and then just give it a light tap with a hammer. And what that will do is that will keep the drill bit from wandering around when you start your drilling. So I've got a few of these to do, and then I got some holes to drill. So you know what? If you want to watch, you're more than welcome to. But I'm going to go ahead and do what I got to do. So. Getting ready to start scrolling, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the cutouts, just taking the drawer pieces out. I'm not going to cut on these dashed line. I'm just going to cut the outline of the drawers right now. And also, you see I have a pencil, so as I cut each one of these drawers out, I'm going to make sure I mark it up. Make sure I mark it up, and that way I keep all of the drawer pieces in order, along with all the outside pieces as well. So anyway, with that, I guess I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, enjoy. Okay, well, there's the 1/2 inch pieces down, and well, I got 4 more of those to do on the 3/4 inch pieces. So yeah, talk to you in a bit. Okay, well, that's all those pieces cut out. But you know what? Before I go to the next step, I need a fresh blade. So, be right back. Okay. Anyway, I've switched out the blades, and instead of having a, I think it was a number 2 blade in here, I put it in a number 9 blade. And the number 9 blade is, well, it's pretty heavy duty. I don't know how well you can see it from where you're at, but basically, all I've got to do is I just have to cut these outside profiles on all 4 of these 3/4 inch pieces. I do not have to cut the outside profile on the 1/2 inch piece. Those pieces are just being cut out for the drawers, but I will come back to that. So anyway, well, enjoy. Okay, I got all 4 pieces cut out and did a couple of things. Well, first off, I just put a very light sanding on them just to make sure there weren't any burrs or anything that's going to interfere with the glue up. Second thing I did was, as you can see, I peeled the paper and the tape off of all the pieces except for the front one, and I'm using this. I'm leaving it on the front one just to leave that line on there to give myself a guide for when I'm sanding this down. Blah. And then the third thing, and let's see how well you can see that. Yeah, you see it pretty good. You can see I marked the pieces 1, 2, 3, 4, and I also put an arrow in there. And what that is doing, that's indicating which way I need to orient these pieces when I'm gluing them up. And that way, hopefully, when I'm done, I'm going to get an interesting looking grain pattern. So with that, I guess I've got my clamp standing by, I've got my glue standing by. There, glue standing by. So I think at this point it's time to glue it up. So let's get an action shot, shall we? Oh, sorry, one last thing. When I put the patterns on the pieces, I made sure the bottom edge of the pattern was actually on the bottom edge of the board, and that way I didn't have to cut. Only had to cut the sides and the top. I've got a nice flat bottom, which is going to give me, well, when I do the glue up, again, it's going to give me a nice flat, stable surface and a good reference point. So remember that. Good tip there. Okay, so anyway, let's go to the gluing. Yeah, you know what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take each piece, flip it over, and add a little glue. Don't really need a lot, but you got to make sure everything is covered, and I'm going to have to spread this out with my fingers a little bit. This is going to see very, very light duty, and I'm not too much worried about any squeeze out because I'm going to end up sanding both between the pieces and on the outside of the box. So all I got to do is make sure the bottom is lined up and the centers are lined up as best as I can get them. So that was piece number 2 in there. So and again, I'm just making sure everything is as lined up as I can possibly get it before I clamp, and that is going to minimize the amount of adjustments and sanding that I'm going to have to do later on. Okay, so that's 2 pieces down. And there's different ways you can apply the glue and spread it. A paintbrush works very well. A little tiny paint roller works very well. But frankly, you know, for areas this small, and the fact that I am going to have to do a lot of cleanup after the fact anyway, you know what, my finger is going to work just fine. So we get this last one lined up here, and again, vertically I'm not too worried about it, but before I clamp anything, I want to make sure that horizontally they're looking as good as possible, and I think that looks pretty good. So just a very light pressure right now, and then after I get everything aligned, just double check it, make sure everything is aligned. I'll go ahead and increase the pressure, clamping pressure that I got, and I think that's looking pretty good. So from here, and I'm gonna go grab another clamp. So I will come back when it's time for the next step. Okay, next step, if you see the dotted lines on there, I've got to cut that area out on, well, the 1/2 inch piece and 3 of the 3/4 inch pieces. I don't have to do it on the 4 3/4 inch piece, because if I do, I basically don't need it. That last 3/4 inch piece will be there as a spare in case I really screw something up. So anyway, with that, some more scrolling. So enjoy if you can. Okay. Do over. Anyway, I got my pieces cut out successfully, as you can see. I haven't glued anything up yet, but anyway, as you can see, again, I numbered them and I marked them left, and in this particular case, right, just so I would be able to keep track of which way everything was supposed to go. And yes, they will fit inside the case. Of course, they're a little bit short, but that's because this little area right here is going to have a 1/4 inch piece of backer, which is laying around here somewhere. But anyway, what I need to do now is glue these up. And, well, as you can see, I'm using up pretty much all my clamps, although I do have some left. Aren't they cute? So, but I only have a couple of those. This is one of those cases where I don't have enough clamps. So, you know, when you're woodworking, there are other ways to do things. So in this particular case, what I'm probably going to do is when I glue these up, I'll just use this gluing jig that I made. Use that as a set of clamps. So anyway, I'm not worried when I glue these up about getting any squeeze out or anything, because they are going to have to get sanded a little bit. And let me show you pretty much how this looks. Well, yeah, there you go. So it's close to being damn good. As it is, it's good, but it's going to need to be better. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and break, and I will come back and show you the next step. So talk to you in a bit. Okay, I've got my I've got 2 pieces of 1/4 inch alder double-sided tape together, and on the saw here. And I've already cut out one piece. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually cutting out the back to the drawers and the front to the drawers, along with the front face piece for the entire box. So I am not going to cut these parts out on the dashed line here, okay? That's only for the inside drawers. So anyway, what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and cut out the first, well, I've already cut one piece out. I'm going to cut out the other 2 pieces now, and then I'll let you know what's going on with this last piece. So enjoy. Okay, if I can get these apart, all right, come on, you can do it. Yeah, it doesn't want to come apart, but there we go. All right, just doing it. May have to do this the hard way. So the plan, at least originally, was to use the double-sided tape that I have on here to stick that other piece of wood on. Let me see if I can do it. If it doesn't, no big deal. And it looks like it's going to work. So all I'm going to do right now is tighten this blade up, and then I'm going to cut the outside lines right here, and that's going to give me the back plate for the box. So here we go. Okay, now I did say a bit proud of the lines that are on here, but I did that on purpose because I do want to make sure that I can actually sand down to the lines, as opposed to end up, over sanding or over cutting these. So anyway, talk to you in a bit. Okay, I don't know how well you can see it, but I made a little tiny mistake, but it is a little tiny one. What I should have done was left the overall pattern on this piece right here that I'm using for the face of the box, and then sand everything down to that. Well, as it is, not a big deal. So anyway, went ahead and glued the face of the box onto the rest of the pieces, and just got some clamping pressure on there from the weights, and that's going to give it. All I have to do now is, excuse me, I'll let it let it sit and let the glue do its thing. For the other pieces, these are done. The little drawers are done. So what I did was, I've got a piece of scrap plywood, put some double-sided tape on there, and I put some 150 grit sandpaper in here. And now the plan, as you can see, that's almost a perfect fit. The plan is to sand this down on the inside, so the inside of this drawer and the other drawer as well end up being as flush as possible. And I'll do that to this piece. This piece as well. So, and when they're done, what I'm going to do is, let's see, what I will end up doing is taking this piece that I cut out on the scroll saw, and that piece will get glued on there, and then this piece will be glued onto the back, and I will have a nice little drawer. But anyway, I'm going to do some sanding, and then I'm going to do some gluing, and then some more sanding. Well, actually some clamping, and then some more sanding. But anyway, all right, you know what? I'll come back to all that, and I'll show you the steps as we get to them. So anyway, right now, time to go sand. So talk to you a bit. Okay, I needed to do some handles for the drawers. Only 3 drawers, and so what I did was just took made a straight line, then took a $50 and I think maybe a third of it, and just use that to draw an arc. You could use a compass or anything else that works for you. So I've got a little piece of scrap alder here that I'm just going to put some tape on, attach the pattern to it, take it out, and cut it out. So simple as that. So be right back. All right, I've got these sanded. Well, let me rephrase that. I've got these sanded on the inside, so the sides right here are smooth and flush. Bottom, not quite as much, but I'm going to put felt over that so small irregularities won't be noticed. Now, the thing I have to do is take these pieces and, well, attach them to the front and attach them to the back. And then when I'm done with that, I got to take it outside and sand this whole thing down so it looks good. So anyway, that's the next step, is to do another glue up. So you've watched a couple of glue ups already. You don't need to watch anymore. I'll be back. No, I'm not going to make a wizard step. Okay, you know what? At least not right away. No, this is just an oak dowel I have hanging around. Yeah. Anyway, it's surprisingly, it is almost exactly the same size as the holes I'm cutting out. So what I did was I put some double-sided tape on the dowel, and then on the other side of the double-sided tape, I put some sandpaper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to go in and even out the drawers or the drawer spaces in the box. So yeah, back in a minute. All right, I got the sanding done, and now I've got the back side clamped on there. And with that, all I have to do is wait for the glue to do its thing, and then I will be able to take, well, the box and the drawers and outside, and sand them down again so everything is nice and smooth and flush. So like I said, I gotta wait for the glue to cure. So I think I'm gonna go watch an episode of Stranger Things. So be back in a few. Bye. Okay, here we go. Just time for some sanding. Certainly something you can do by hand, but if you don't have to. Okay, actually I had one more thing to do before before I showed you the finished product, and that was to get the felt in here. And what I did was I used a product, I think it's called Sticky Felt or something like that. Anyway, it's adhesive backed. And how I got it to fit so well was pretty simple. I just took a compass like this, and I used that to get the to measure the inside of the box, and that's going to give me a perfect measurement. So I bring it out here, and all I do is I transfer it to the felt, just like this. One there, and let me see if the depth is right. Yeah, the depth looks right, so the width looks right. So, and then the second one here. And at that point, I just match up the lines, or I cut straight to the lines, and I should be good to go. So, gonna cut it. But again, you know, you can always cut it just a hair wider, which is not a bad, necessarily a bad idea, because, you know, if it that way, you can always trim a little bit more off if you need to. You can't add more back. So let's do a quick test fit here, and yeah, that's going to look pretty good. So I will come back in just a little bit and show you the finished product. Bye. All right, home stretch, and right now all I'm going to do is do a little hand sanding. I got some 220 grit that I'm going to use all over the box, but I got some 400 grit here that I'm going to use for the final sanding, and I'm just going to do that on the little handles that I cut out. So anyway, this shouldn't take too long, I hope, but yeah. So anyway, enjoy. All right, almost done, and I just got to do a few last minute details, not the least of which is to put the handles on. These are bugging me a little bit. However, I mean, I could have sanded them down a bit more, but you know what? I think next time I'm just gonna, well, we'll see. So this one came out looking a little bit better. It's just got the same, it's just got the drill marks on the side there, so no problem. Let's see, I think that was pretty much about it. So let me get these on here. The plan is to take them outside, put a little bit of spray polyurethane on there, and let's see, come on. Okay, and here it is, finished product, and I think it came out pretty good, not too bad overall. Although one thing I just thought of that I could do to make this better, to avoid these entry hole marks, I could take a trick from the bandsaw box videos that I've seen, and not drill entry holes right here, but rather just make a very well, I would say obscure, that's not the right word, a subtle cut, just coming up from the very bottom here, bring it around, bring it up here, bring it around, you know, then exit back out, and then do the same thing over here. And then what will happen is when you clamp this up, because you're using a scroll saw blade, those are very, very thin, those might actually disappear. Maybe a little experimentation would be in order. But anyway, yeah, like I said, overall I'm pretty happy with it. And the end grain, you can see I got it to match up pretty nicely. So I'm happy with that. Now, if you want to make one of these yourself, you could certainly freehand it, but I had actually gone out and bought this box making project for the scroll saw by Gary McKay. And there's a lot of good ideas in here, good tips and tricks, especially for somebody who hasn't done something like this before. But you know, anything like this is always helpful, even if you only use it once or twice, just to give yourself some ideas. So anyway, overall, give myself a B on this. Some things I could have done better, but definitely some things I could have done worse. And I'm fairly pleased. So with that, I am going to try to figure out my next project. So I will talk to you later. Bye.